Being a superhero is something that should be amazing. Having a gift that the rest of the world doesn't have makes you inherently special. But what if you can't stop using your gift? What if your gift makes it impossible to do normal things, like eating food, like touching someone, like living your life? Is it still something that you wanted then? Well, James didn't have a choice. It happened before he could say no. A burning meteor 1,000 miles away crashed into Earth's atmosphere and hit James's bedroom when he was sleeping. He should have died, but he didn't. When he woke up, his whole body was burning and on fire. His mother screamed, "James!" But he was fine. "Mom," he said, "what's happening to me?" His body was on fire. He watched his childhood home burning down around him, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. He took a step back and then fell out of his house, floating away. He was never going to live a normal life, not ever again. The police investigators didn't know what to do with him when they saw him. "Does it hurt?" one of them said. "No," James said. They flew in superheroes from out of town, but even they were stumped. "See, my powers I can turn on and off," Granite Man said, turning his hand into stone. "Can you do that?" James focused. He concentrated with all of his abilities, but he couldn't. He was on fire all the time. Granite Man's eyes narrowed. "I knew someone who had powers like you once. I think you should see her." James flew off the ground, steadying himself in the air. Granite Man watched him and guided him in how to fly. James should have been enjoying it, but instead he was thinking about how he couldn't turn his powers off. He found where the woman lived, in the middle of a cave in the woods. James's burning fire was illuminating the woods at night, and all the animals ran away from him. "Hello?" James said, at the mouth of a cave. Something moved within a cave. A gelatinous cube of ooze, like a big green cube made out of jello, skulked out of the cave, looking at him. James was terrified. "Are you Jenny?" the cube said. "My name is Jenny." James sat on a rock with the cube and looked at its form. "So you can't turn it off either," James said. "The superheroes use me when they need me," Jenny said. "But otherwise, I kind of prefer to stay by myself." She looked out into the cave, then back into the forest. "It's not as bad as it looks, but yeah, if I could wish it away, I would." James looked at the cave. He thought about having a cave of his own. He grit his teeth in anger. "It's not fair." He flew into the sky, but then he looked out at the cities. He wanted to burn everything down, to make people feel the pain that he had gone through. But what would the point be? His powers would still be on. They would not change. He touched down on the ground next to Jenny, the gelatinous cube, and he went to his knees and cried. He stayed out in the woods with her for days. She told him things that made his life easier, like how if he slept on non-flammable surfaces, nothing would burn when he was asleep. He learned that he could control the fire in very specific, interesting ways, like doing a key made out of flame to burn through something very hard and impenetrable. Occasionally, superheroes would find him in the woods and use him for things, like a case they couldn't solve, but James only helped them because it was the only thing that he could do. Every night, he sat with Jenny, and he talked about how much he hated his life. He talked about running in the fields and going to school and wanting to go to college one day. "It feels like these powers, this fire took away my future," he said. "Well, think about it this way," Jenny said. "At least you have a face." James laughed as hard as he could. "You know, I wish more people could know you," James said. "I wish more people could know you," she said. James burned things outside of his cave, bitter. Granite Man touched down outside, panting. "We need you." James flew across the sky with him and looked over at his face. He resented Granite Man. "It's not like I don't see you staring," Granite Man said. James looked away. "Hey, if I could switch places with you for a day, I would," Granite Man said. James grit his teeth. "It doesn't help," James said. "What do you mean?" Granite Man said. "It doesn't help that you look down on me," James said. The monster of ice was ravaging the city. He was crushing buildings in his bare hand. It was terrifying. James touched down right in front of it, burning. "We've evacuated the city," Granite Man said. "Go as hot as you can." James screamed, evoking all the anger and pain and nightmares into a giant blast of flame. The frost monster took a step back and chuckled. It blew a blizzard of cold at James, so much more powerful than James's most powerful flame. He felt what it was like to snuffle out and die, like all those nights when he was wondering what would happen if he had flown into space, where there was no oxygen, and burnt out. James struggled and fought, and he used all of the anger, the pain inside, to burn brighter. The snow and the ice that was bearing down on him turned into water and then evaporated into steam. Inside the ice monster, there was almost something laughing. James screamed and flew as fast as he could, punching through the center of the ice monster, pulling out a sleeping young man made of ice. James looked at him in his hands, but before he could say anything, Granite Man pulled him off of him. "He's melting. You're killing him," Granite Man said. James looked between him and the crowd and flew back into the woods. He thought about what it was like to be needed or forgotten at the same moment. When he crashed down in the cave, he had so much to tell Jenny. "You won't believe what happened, But Jenny was gone. She wasn't in the cave. She wasn't in the woods. She was gone. Jenny? James burned through the forest looking for her, but there was nothing to be found. He knew where she was, but he didn't want to look. James flew up to the top of the atmosphere. The one person who understood him, the one person who treated him the same as a normal person, was dead. And now he was all alone. He thought about the frost monster and the other people needing him, living in his cave and burning there, as the only thing that he can do. He thought about the path that he would go down, being in the same position as Jenny. He thought about what other paths there were. And then James clenched his fist. Months later, the concept of a forest fire was only a memory. Anytime any fire happened, James was there, pulling it into his body. The firefighters were relieved and applauded him. "Does he sleep?" one of the firefighters asked. "I don't think so," the other one said. And James flew from fire to fire to fire, putting them out, knowing that even though he couldn't turn his fire powers off, there were moments, like when a mother reunited with her daughter, like when a little girl found her dog in a fire that he saved, that made it all worth it. That meteor, he was glad that it hit him. He was glad that it hit him because he was the only one strong enough to keep going, strong enough to never be fixed.